Hi betting experts, on Saturday January the 13th we've got 8 cracking races on ITV on Saturday, the best of the action from Kempton, Warwick and Wetherby. The ground, well at Kempton it's dried out remarkably. They have had frosts through the week, but underneath the frost covers, it's pretty decent ground, just on the softer side, are good on both tracks. Warwick and Wetherby bound to be really testing. Let's hope they beat the weather. We start off with our betting expert Daily Nap, sponsored by Bet365. This goes in the 207. It's a Grade 2, the Silvignano Conti Chase for 5-year-olds and upwards, over 2 miles, 4.5 furlongs, and I think this is exactly what Edwardstone needs now. He's a really high-class performer with a brilliant profile over the last 4 or 5 years at the highest level. He's bumped into John Bond twice this season and not really made any impression, coming under pressure earlier than he used to and shaping for me as though he really wants 2 mile 4. I think the key as well, some decent ground here under Tom Cannon. I think he's a class above his 2 serious rivals in the form book. Our betting expert value angle selection goes in the 130 at Kempton. It's a handicap chase over 3 miles, and I think Phlegmatic should now be peaking. Now, Dan Skelton, I've banged on about this for most of the winter. His runners tended to need a run or two, which is very unusual. He went quite soft on them in the summer months, and I think they've taken a while to come right, but they're definitely in the winners now. He's flying along, and this one's run 2 cracking races, unfancied in warm Ascot handicaps so far this season. He's now got Tristan Durrell, who's a very useful young claimer. He takes off £3. I think that's a big plus. Kempton, not wildly dissimilar to Ascot. Phlegmatic's a strong traveller, and I think this small field will really suit him. He can do them for pace at the business end of the race. The remaining 6 races on ITV on Saturday, we'll do them in time order. Wetherby the 110, the Towton, a Grade 2 over 2 mile, 3.5 furlongs, a rerouted race. This, I think Colonel Harry's the one to side with here. Jamie Snowden's got a cracking team of young horses to go to war with this winter. He lost no case at all in defeat when second behind Le Patron at Sandown last time out. He's a sound jumper. Nothing happens explosively quickly, it has to be said, but at Wetherby you can get rolling along, and I think Gavin Sheehan's liable to front run with this step up in trip sure to suit. Over to Warwick for the 115, a handicap chase over 2 mile. Well, Etalon, like so many of Skelton's, jumped like he'd run 100 times over fences when he made a winning chasing debut at Newbury in December on pretty testing ground. He had them covered, turning for home there, impressing me with the fluency of his jumping and winning with plenty in hand. Now, he's not been missed by the handicapper, but I think he's going to end up a graded performer by the spring, and he can take this before stepping up in class. Back to Warwick for the 149, one of these Potemps qualifiers, over 3 mile one, with Geoffroy represents a yard who's been struggling, Laura Morgan. She's a really good trainer, but they've had a very quiet few months, but things have picked up a little bit of late, and this consistent handicapper, I think, deserves extra credit for running so well at a time when his stablemates were largely underperforming. This slog in the mud will be ideal under John Kinton. He is 11, but he's race fit, and he'll definitely be trying today, be doing his best against some others who might be looking on for the future in these qualifying series. Back to Warwick for the 224, the Hampton Novices Chase, a Grade 2. Well, Apple Away is very much the apple of Lucinda Russell's eye. She's got her team in blistering form at the moment. She's a high-class hurdler, and she translated that ability to fences when routing a weak field at Leicester last time out. Now, that really ended up being a bit of a solo trial, but this Grade 2 obviously is a much stiffer assignment, but her jumping looks a real asset, and round Warwick, if you can get into a rhythm, that really does count for plenty. There's loads more to come after 2 starts over fences so far, and the young jockey Patrick Wadd replaces Derek Fox. I think that's a plus. He's riding with maximum confidence at the moment. The 242 at Kempton, the Lanzarote, over 2 mile 5. Gone for an outsider here, Caleb, who comes from a yard I really like, Amy Murphy, places her horses carefully. This handicap has run 2 blinders in defeat on his first 2 starts this season, and then can be excused what looked a lesser effort when only 7th at Cheltenham last time out, but plenty went wrong there, and I thought he shaped as though in top form. He's only won 1 from 10, but I think this step up in trip to 2 mile 5 could unlock further improvement, and the excellent Jack Quinlan is a good booking. And finally, back to Warwick for the 3 o'clock, a real slog, 3 mile 5, Premier Handicap Chase. Credo represents an excellent yard, Anthony Honeyball. She's not quite as straightforward as those form figures look. You'd think she was pretty reliable. She can go on and off the bridle in snatches, but I've often thought she really does want a thorough test of stamina, and this step up to 3 mile 5 for the first time should suit. She stayed on powerfully at Haydock behind Famous Bridge last time out, and the icing on the cake, Sam Twiston-Davies booked for the ride. Best of luck with all 8 ITV races on Saturday, betting experts.